Isso aqui, oh, é pouquinho de Brasil, iaia. Yesterday, I tried to explain on episode 2 of my stash how I make the socks, but I was afraid it was not so clear, so I decided to do this quick video. I knitted this sock yesterday. It looks narrow, but it's the ribbon pattern. It stretches up, and I had my husband putting it on to try, but it was very, very quick. I knitted yesterday in a few hours. If you are a spinner, I will show you how to do it. But if you are going to buy commercial yarn, try to look for something that is worsted spun, and also, if possible, that has some nylon on it. 5% is enough. This one doesn't have nylon, like most of my socks. It's just Corriedale, but it is a thick 3-ply that I did. So if you do use hand spun, or even if you use commercial yarn but you do not have the package saying what kind of needles you should use, what I do is I have this wraps per inch knit card and WPI tool kit, and I got this is the kit, and it's a Nancy's Knit Necks, and I use this a lot. So the way you do is you get an inch and you just put it there, and you see how many wraps it takes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So when you have the wraps per inch, and you do not necessarily need to use this. If you have a ruler, you can wrap around your ruler. So here is inches, right? So you can wrap around your ruler and see how many wraps per inches. But I do use this a lot. So 9. If you look at 9, you're gonna see that 9 to 11 inches is needle US 7 to 9, or metric 4.5 to 5.5 size needles, and it's giving you gauge more or less to 4 to 5 stitches per gauge. So once I did this, I know that I have to use needles that are within 4.5 to 5.5, and in this case I chose needles number 5 millimeters. So to cast on, I like to do, normally I used to do provisory cast on with crochet hook, but that I always need to have some extra different color yarn, so I now just do this cast on. And what I do is, for this one I decided to use 7, so I don't count the slip stitch, and I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I put that in the middle. So then you can just pull one needle. I have to put my needle in the thing, and then you knit one side, 7 stitches, right? 1, 2, 6, and 7. Then I do not knit the slip stitch. Then I go back here. Oops. Sorry. It's now it's good. So let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm just going to hold that yarn down, and I'm going to knit the other side. 1. The beginning is always the difficult part. And you can use any cast on you want, you regular use. And also, I now, after knitting a lot of socks, I decided that I like to knit with the magic loop. So I use only one circular needle. So now I have 7 each side, but you can use 4 or 5 double point needles or 2 circular needles, whatever you prefer. So I'm going to knit one more row just the same, just the 7 stitches. And as you can see, this row is a little bit faster. After this row, I start increasing each other row. So when you are increasing, you can make one whatever way you want to do. I like how when you knit front and back, it creates a little mark here of the increases that you do. I like this. So for socks, I normally use the knit front and back. So I'm going to increase here. I knit, keep the stitch there, put it through the back, knit, and take it out. So I have 2 stitches in the same area. Oops. And I always increase one before the end or one after the first one. So again, knit 1, keep the stitch there, knit from the back, take the stitch out. So I'm going to do this one. And for this sock, what I was doing is as I was knitting, I was having my husband try it to see if it was wide enough for his foot, for the toes mainly, so that I would know how many stitches I had. So I increased in this row. And what the other thing I like about increase front and back is that I can always see, I hope you can see because this is a dark yarn, I can always see the little mark that looks like a purl stitch. So I know that the next row I don't add. So it's easy to know if you are in an increased row or not. My husband tried it out as I was increasing, and when I got to 15 stitches was perfect for him. So I decided that for this socks I wanted something easy and fast and flexible. So I need to do some kind of a ribbing, but it is 1 purl, 6 knit, 1 purl, 6 knit, 1 purl. It's an easy point. And then in the back, it's just stockinette stitch. Okay, so I'm going to go on increasing my new sock up to 15, and I'll do this up to the time I have to start increasing the stitches again. So now I got to the point that I have to start the heel. So I have 15 stitches. If I divide this by 3, I have 5. So I'm going to increase 5 stitches in each side, increasing 2 stitches each other row. So you can increase the stitches the way you want. I like to increase still front and back. I always increase on the second or on the last second. Not on the last, but the one before the last. So now I have 17 stitches. I increased 1. Then I'll go on the other side, doing the front pattern, and the next row is without increase. So I'll keep doing this until I have my 5 stitches increased. This is my last increase, and I'm going to have a total of 25 stitches. So I increased on the second one, and then one before the last. Knead, leave it there, take to the back, take both out, and knead. So I just need to knead one more row, and then I will start working the back of the heel. So now I'm going to start working front and back to prepare this. So I had 15 stitches, now I have 25. So I increased 5 stitches on each side. I'm going to go up to 1 stitch before the 5 stitches increased and turn the heel. So 2, 4, 5. I'm gonna knit this one and then just wrap and go back, and I'm going to knit up to 6 stitches before the end. So 5, and because I increased 5 stitches, I'm going to do this 5 times, but always 1 stitch before the last. So if you see here, I have the 5, one that I wrapped, and a good way for you to see is because the wrap is showing here. Right there you see the wrap. So I'm going to wrap this one. It's coming to the front. I'll turn and I'll knit to the other side. This sock is good because it has so little stitches that it goes fast to get there. So again, I had 5. This is my last wrapped stitch, so I can come here and wrap it. And if you are in doubt if you had wrapped that already, there are 2 ways to see. First is the wrap here that you can see I had there, but I didn't have here. And the other thing is that when you wrap, the yarn has a tendency to pull, the wrap has a tendency to pull that stitch together. So the last stitch goes closer normally. So this is to wrap. Right? 5, 1, 2, 3. Yes. So the way I check is always to see if I have the wrap there. And as you can see, I always check because I have a tendency not to notice that. So now I have 5, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to wrap on this one that has no wrap. I'm going to go back. And now I have 4 wrapped. So 1, 2, 3, and that's going to be there. So I have now 5 and 1, 2, 3, 5 wraps here. So this is my last one on this side. And then I have 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5, 1, 2, and then I go here. All right, so that part of the heel is done. So now I'm going to have the heel back to 15 stitches only. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to knit up to the first wrap stitch. So many people say that you should knit together the wrap and the stitch. So some people we'll put the wrap there, put it here, and then knit them together. I like the effect of the wrap on my heel, so I just knit them, the stitches, and I leave the wraps there. When you get to the last stitch, the last wrap, so you have the 5 that you increased and you have that, then you slip and knit. Right? No, I think you knit it together. Sorry. Because if you do one or the other, it's going to make the yarn go this way or that way. So I will just knit two together here. Yes, and then it comes this way. So I'll turn. You can slip the first stitch and go now up to the other side. And again, it's your choice to put the wrap here and purl the two together, or like I do, I just purl because I like the wraps and I'm keeping them there. And the last stitch, I will purl them together. And I go back, I slip the first stitch and knit up to the next division that you see here. Okay, so I will knit up to the stitch before this gap, and then I'll knit them together. Knit two together, and I slip and knit. So now I have 3 stitches, 3 increases in each side still. And I'll knit two together. Slip one, and then you see the gap, you knit them together, purl them together, turn, slip the first stitch, see, I like the purls that you have here in front. I like this on the heel for some reason. So there is a gap, just two together, slip the first one, and there is the gap again, right there. I'm almost there. If you want to avoid the extra mark here, you can simply put the yarn in the back when you are slipping the first stitch. So it's whatever you prefer. So this is the last one. On this side. So the gap is here, and I get the last stitch. Now, normally when you are knitting socks, when you start working on them again, many times you get a hole in here on this part. And because this is a thick yarn, it still has a little bit. But one way to try to reduce the hole that you have there is when you are knitting the first round, you add one stitch here, you pick up one stitch here, and then you knit two together. So what I'm going to do is knit Okay, so now that I'm here, instead of going directly and knitting there, I'm going to pick up a stitch and I'm going to pick up a stitch right here. And just put it there. And I'm knitting it. So now I'm back to knitting in the round. Okay, so now before I go there again, I'm going to pick up another stitch here. Just a second. I'm going to pick up one here. And I'm going to knit this. So now I do have 17 stitches on the back of the sock. So in the second row, I'm going to knit 2 together to reduce this extra stitch that I don't want, but I put there just to avoid that little hole that we have on the sock. So 2, 4, 6. I need to get it from the other side because it's there. Sorry. And I'm going to knit them together. So I reduce one of the stitches there. I'm just going to reduce the other and knit. So I'm going to knit 2 stitches together here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to purl 2 together so that I start with the pattern in the back. So I purled 2 together, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, purl 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and purl 1, and then let me see if you can, let me just do one more here for you to see that the hole is a little bit smaller now. And I'll show you at the end too. So as you can see, like this is a bulk yarn, but we don't have that big hole that sometimes happen when you are starting to go back in the round, right? So both sides, and I'll show you again this part once it's finished. So now all I have to do is keep on knitting until I get to the end, and I'll show you the bind off. So now I'm ready to bind off, and I'm going to use the end bud bind off that she uses in the video and the book. So what it is you do a yarn over, then you knit the next yarn, and then you pass both yarns through. So yarn, sorry, this way because it's purl, it's knit. Then in yarn over. If you want, you can in one thing do or put both stitches over. So the yarn over will change if it is if the next stitch is purl or knead. So another one. So what I like about this is that you can knit any pair of socks without having to worry. So here it is purl stitch. So I have to put the yarn over like this. Then I can take both off. And because it's a knit, it's going to be like that. And that's how you go up to you finish. Okay, so these are the last 3 stitches. So it's yarn over, knit, yarn over. Oh, this is purl. Purl. So this is the last stitch, but if you stop here and pull, it's going to be like an open area here. To avoid that, what I do is I pick up another stitch and then I just pass it through. And that normally helps. So now what I do is I get, instead of using a weaving needle, what I do is I use a crochet needle and then so I pulled. I can do a little bit longer. And then I cut the yarn. So I check the sock on the beginning, because if I had one skein, I will only have this extra and the top to weave in this case to crochet. So you can make it a little bit more if you want. Then just cut. And the socks are ready to wear. Hope you liked. If you have any doubts, put a on the comment. I apologize if I didn't figure out. I've been watching some videos and it's better to film on the table, but I had already knitted the socks. So hope you like it and that you make some for this winter. They're pretty easy and pretty fast. Thank you for watching. Isso aqui, oh, é pouquinho de Brasil, ia, ia.